and welcome. In this lesson, we are going to learn about how we can use casual conversation to get to know our colleagues. We'll learn 3 key skills: starting conversations, asking questions, and using responder phrases to show interest. Usually, you would get to know your colleagues within the office environment. Perhaps you would meet someone at the water cooler or in the lunch area and strike up a conversation. However, given the COVID-19 situation, that isn't quite likely to happen anymore. Still, it's always good to know how to converse with your colleagues in English. Why? Because not everyone is comfortable speaking in Sinhala or Tamil. Plus, speaking in English in casual situations helps you become more comfortable with using English in high-pressure work situations. So, how do we start a conversation with someone? Well, compliments are good conversation starters. You could compliment something that someone did, or you could say something nice about something they have. For example, I really liked your presentation last week. Or, wow, that's an awesome phone. However, in a work setting, try not to compliment someone on how they look, unless you're close friends, of course. This can make people a bit uncomfortable. Another way of starting a conversation is to talk about current events, the world around you. So, you could say something like, "Did you watch the match yesterday?" Or, "Did you hear about the event hosting next month?" Notice the structure of the questions. Did you plus a verb, see, watch, the object of conversation, or did you plus hear plus about plus the object of the conversation. But how do you keep the conversation going once you have started? A good rule of thumb is to make the conversation about the other person. This applies whether you've just met or if you have already got to know someone. Asking questions is a good way to keep the conversation focused on the other person. Try to ask questions that require more than a yes or a no answer. This will help avoid awkward silences like this. So, what sort of questions can you ask? You can ask about where someone lives or their daily activities, work-related or otherwise. You can also ask about their career or their experience in their current role. Here are some typical questions you could ask. How long have you worked at? You can also ask, do you or did you questions. Do you questions have this form. Do you plus a verb plus the object of conversation. These questions are used to find out what a person usually does in their life. So, where do you live? Do you drive to work every day? Did you questions have this form. Did you plus a verb plus the object of conversation. This form is used to gather information about things done in the past. We've already looked at some examples of this. Of course, it's not enough to ask questions. As a good conversationalist, once the other person answers a question, you should be able to respond appropriately. You can use standard responder phrases for this purpose. For example, phrases like, "That's great," or "Wow, that's impressive," or "Oh, that's terrible." When you learn to use responder phrases, you can carry on a conversation in any situation, even if your English vocabulary is limited. Let's take a look at some common responder phrases. Remember, it's not just the words you use that matter. Your tone of voice also matters a lot. Notice the tone of my voice when I speak these phrases and try to say these after me in the exact same way. First phrase is, "Wow, okay, that's impressive." You can use this phrase when someone tells you about something that they've accomplished. For example, a good result that they've received. "Lucky you." This is used when you feel someone is lucky because of something they have, such as an offer for a promotion or a house close to the office. The next phrase is okay or okay. So you can say this when something doesn't really need an emotional response. For example, someone tells you they live in burlesque moon. It's just a fact, right? Nothing to be excited about or to feel sad about. So you can use this phrase. Okay. The next phrase is, oh, that's bad. Oh, I'm sorry. This is used to show sympathy or empathy when something bad has happened to someone, either now or in the past. For instance, somebody told you that they lost their parents at a young age. This is a good way to respond in such a situation. Oh, I'm sorry. The next phrase is, that's great. This phrase is used when someone tells you good news of any kind. Really? Really? This is used when you can't quite believe what the other person is saying. Don't worry, everything will be okay. You can use this phrase to respond to someone who is going through a difficult time, an illness in the family, or an unusually tough workload. Now, let's put it all together. Take a look at this conversation. Hi, I really liked your presentation last week. Thank you. I don't think we've talked to each other before. My name is Ashwini. Hi Ashwini, I'm Rose. So, have you worked here long, Rose? I just joined actually. How about you? Oh, I've been working here for 5 years. Okay. Do you live close by? Sorry, I couldn't catch that. What did you say? Oh, that's fine. I just asked where you live. I live in Kolpeti. Lucky you. I live in Gampa. Really? So you drive to work every day? No, I use an office transport service. Still, that must be tough. It's not that bad. Notice how we use phrases from the casual version of your introduction. Also, notice how responder phrases were used in this conversation. You must have noticed another type of phrase. Sorry, I couldn't catch that. What did you say? This can be used when you don't understand what the other person is saying. Other ways of saying this, other phrases and sentences you can use in these situations include sorry. Use this only in a casual situation. Sorry. You can say come again. Or you could say, could you repeat that please? Now, it's your turn. Practice making up your own questions with the phrases do you, did you. Also, practice each one of these responder phrases and try to use them in everyday conversation. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next lesson.